Okay, so ready to dive into another location?
Always.
This time, we're heading to the Stanley Hotel.
Oh, nice.
I'm sure you've heard of it.
Of course.
I mean, who hasn't, right?
Yeah.
Especially its connection to, Stephen King's The Shining.
Hmm.
But, today we're going to go beyond just the typical, ghost stories.
Right.
And really unpack the history of the Stanley.
Yeah.
The hauntings,
Yeah.
and kind of what makes this place so alluring to people.
Well, what I think gets missed sometimes is that the Stanley Hotel has a really interesting history.
Oh, yeah.
Even before Stephen King ever set foot in it.
Right.
It was built in 1909
Wow.
by Freeland Oscar Stanley.
Okay.
And really quickly became a destination
Mm-hmm.
for the elite.
Oh, wow.
So presidents, Hollywood stars,
Wow.
they all came to the Stanley.
So it's like a classic Grand Hotel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But, alongside all that glamour,
Yeah.
all those fancy people, there were whispers, right?
Yeah. I've heard about, these early reports of strange things happening. What were people saying back then?
Well, pretty much what you'd expect from a, classic ghost story.
Mhm.
Flickering lights,
Yeah.
unexplained noises,
Sure.
that feeling of being watched.
Yeah.
But keep in mind, back then, this was all brand new
Yeah.
and incredibly unsettling
Yeah, I can imagine.
for the guests.
Right.
It's almost as if the hotel's paranormal activity,
Right.
has been there as long as the building has.
Interesting. Okay. Well, let's fast forward a bit
Sure.
to the haunting that I think everyone knows about.
Okay.
Room 217.
Yes.
This is the room that inspired Stephen King.
Right?
I mean, you've read The Shining.
I have?
Just imagine being Stephen King
Oh, yeah.
in that hotel room, feeling that chill.
Right.
As you're writing about a haunted maze.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think his nightmares came from the hotel's energy, or just was it all in his head?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
And it's one that's been debated, I think, since the book came out.
Right.
King has said that his stay in room 217 was one of the most unsettling experiences he's ever had.
Wow.
And that he had these vivid nightmares, right after,
Yeah.
that directly influenced, what he wrote.
Oh wow.
And so, I mean, one of the big things is the image of his young son being chased down the hallways.
Right. Okay, so it wasn't just him making stuff up, right?
Yeah.
Other people had experienced strange things in room 217 before him.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
There are tons of reports going way back.
Wow.
So you've got objects moving,
Okay.
feeling like someone's there, even though no one's there.
Yeah.
Temperature changes.
Got it.
Some guests have even reported, seeing a figure,
Oh wow.
often described as a woman in a long dress.
Okay. Spooky. So we've got this one room that's been freaking people out for, over a century at this point, basically.
Yeah.
But the Stanley's a big place, right?
It is, yeah.
It's got to be more to it than just room 217.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So, why don't we move on to the concert hall,
Okay.
where things get a little more authoritative.
Authoritative. What does that even mean in terms of ghosts?
Well, the resident ghost there, his name is Paul.
Oh.
He's supposedly a former worker.
Okay.
Seems to be very particular about closing time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, guests who stay after hours, they've reported hearing this, stern voice.
Oh,
Booming, get out!
Oh, that's scary.
They're not exactly the kind of, encore you want at a concert.
Yeah, I guess even in the afterlife, some people just can't let go of their jobs.
Apparently not, no.
Okay, well, who else haunts the Stanley?
Well, then you have Flora Stanley.
Okay.
She's one of the co-founders of the hotel.
Right.
And her ghost, she's said to haunt the ballroom, specifically the piano.
I've heard about this. I've heard about the piano playing.
Yeah, it's a pretty common story.
It's kind of weird,
It
right?
is a little bit.
Out of all the things a ghost could do, she chooses to, play the piano.
Yeah, there's this theory in parapsychology that strong emotions, they can kind of imprint on a place.
Oh, okay.
So maybe what people are sensing isn't a traditional ghost,
Right.
but an echo of Flora's love for music.
Huh. That's kind of beautiful, actually. Like a haunting melody echoing through time.
I think so, yeah.
That's cool. But it's not all, spectral piano music, is it?
No.
What about the children's laughter? I've heard about that too.
Oh, yes, the children.
Yeah.
That's one of the more unsettling, I think, parts of the Stanley's haunting.
Yeah.
The sound of children playing, especially around the 4th floor, it's a frequent report.
Really?
Yeah, and there aren't even any kids staying at the hotel.
That is creepy.
Yeah, it's like this, layer of innocence to the whole atmosphere.
I once stayed in a supposedly haunted hotel,
Oh, yeah.
and all I got was a noisy radiator and a lumpy mattress.
Oh,
No ghosts for me.
you didn't get the full experience?
No. But, speaking of, extra experiences, the Stanley is not all just, scary stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, what about those stories of the ghostly housekeepers?
Oh, yeah, the phantom helpers.
Yeah.
So some guests have reported waking up and, their clothes are neatly folded.
Really?
Or their stuff's been tidied up,
Yeah.
even though they didn't ask for housekeeping.
Okay.
There was even one guest who said that they were tucked into bed so tightly they couldn't move.
Okay, now that's a little creepy.
Yeah,
But I will say, I've stayed in hotels where they tuck the blankets in really tight.
it's true, yeah. Maybe that's just a Stanley thing.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Or, maybe some spirits just like to tidy up.
Maybe, yeah.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. We've got, a haunted room, a stern ghost, a musical spirit,
Yeah.
playful children,
Right.
helpful housekeepers. I mean, it's almost like a whole community of ghosts at this point.
Yeah.
But let's circle back to Stephen King for a second.
Okay.
His experience at the Stanley, it seems like it really had a profound impact on him.
It did.
Do we know anything about, what he did during his stay, aside from having, bad dreams?
Well, he's said that he spent a lot of time just exploring the hotel,
Okay.
soaking up the atmosphere,
Yeah.
jotting down ideas.
So he was already, a writer?
Oh yeah, he was a successful author at this point.
Got it.
But it seems like the Stanley really ignited something, in his creativity.
Huh. That's interesting. I wonder if there's any, any historical evidence to support that? Did King actually, research local legends?
That's a good question.
Or, draw inspiration from specific events? Or is that just, us making stuff up?
I mean, there's no concrete evidence that he took, specific legends and put them in the book.
Right.
But it's certainly possible
Yeah.
that the hotel's history and the stories kind of seeped into his subconscious. I mean, he was in the room that
Yeah.
had all these stories.
Right. It's almost like the Stanley itself played a role in shaping, one of the most iconic horror novels ever.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And that's part of what makes it so compelling.
Yeah.
It's this place where history, imagination, and the unexplained all come together.
That's cool.
And even today, the hotel, they fully embrace it.
They do.
Oh, yeah. They have ghost tours, paranormal investigations.
Right.
They've turned the ghosts into a selling point.
Yeah, I guess it's a pretty good marketing strategy.
It's a smart one.
I mean, people are fascinated by the unknown,
Yeah.
right? By
yeah.
this idea that maybe there's more to the world than we can see.
Exactly. And that brings us to, I think, a final kind of provocative thought.
Okay.
Whether you believe in ghosts or just enjoy a good ghost story, there's no denying the allure of a place like the Stanley Hotel.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that some stories, some mysteries, they never really check out.
Wow. Well, that's a great way to wrap things up.
I think so.
I love that. Some mysteries never really check out.
I like that.
And the Stanley Hotel is full of mysteries.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for taking this deep dive with me.
Oh, thanks for having me.
This was fun.
Yeah.
And I think I'm gonna maybe avoid room 217 next time I'm there.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah, probably for the best.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll see you next time.
See you then. Bye.
Bye.